News has just broke that Colin Trevorrow and Lucasfilm have mutually chosen to part ways on Star Wars Episode 9. The statement said, "Colin has been a wonderful collaborator throughout the developmental process, but we have all come to the conclusion that our visions for the project differ. We wish Colin the best and will be sharing more information about the film soon." Sources indicate that the split stemmed from differences on the script between Trevorrow and studio executives. The film is expected to hit theaters on May 24, 2019, with production set to start in early 2018. Disney and Lucasfilm have not offered any information as to who will take over as director of Episode 9. Here is a list of filmmakers who I think would make interesting directors to conclude the sequel trilogy in Episode 9. Darren Aronofsky. According to Aronofsky, filmmaking is about how to make things blend. In his film Pi, his decisions to use black and white reversal film immediately pulled together elements he felt were otherwise divergent. With Episode 9 heavily leaning on the theme of balancing the Force, Aronofsky can wrap up a convoluted canon into a coherent, satisfying ending. Aronofsky claims there's nothing wrong with a cliché, it's just how you execute it. With Disney eager to push nostalgia, it'd be thrilling to see a conscious effort in giving the audience what it wants in an original way. Aronofsky is great at telling stories from a psychological point of view. This would be very interesting for characters like Kylo Ren, who has a lot of adolescent mental conflict. The use of special effects to convey psychological feelings in characters would be a fresh take, yet remaining faithful to the original trilogy. He would be a great fit at continuing the gritty realism established by J.J. Abrams in The Force Awakens. The wrestler was great at showing the hidden brutality of pro wrestling. Though he has traveled into the realm of mysticism in The Fountain, most of Aronofsky's films have a very human and real-life feel. He uses realistic problems the audience can relate to and presents them with innovative filming techniques. His films are believable and connect the audience deeply to the characters, something that set the original trilogy apart from the prequels. Vince Gilligan. Vince Gilligan can write a massive story that blends the lines of having the audience root for the bad guys. I predict the upcoming Star Wars films are leading us to question if the light and dark sides are good and evil. Though most of Gilligan's directing is for television, he has directed large-scale superhero motion pictures. Gilligan was one of the original X-Files writers and directors, which I think could be an effective take on Star Wars. Rian Johnson was a director of a few episodes of Breaking Bad, which could provide a good relationship between directors. This could also lead Johnson to be on board in some capacity for Episode 9. Interestingly, Bryan Cranston admits that in 2015 he was begging for a role in Star Wars. Also, Breaking Bad star Jesse Plemons was courted for a role in The Force Awakens. There's obviously at least interest in using the proven talent from Breaking Bad in the sequel trilogy. I see a good relationship between the Star Wars and Breaking Bad crews. Nick Cassavetes. When you look at Nick's filmography, you don't see necessarily a blockbuster like Star Wars. However, you see several amazing films that are elements of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Rian Johnson sums up, Star Wars boils down to the transition from adolescence into adulthood. That's the heart of these films, and Rey is most obvious the one that hangs on. But it's also Kylo. In the originals, you project entirely onto Luke, while Vader is the scary other. He's the Minotaur. The fascinating thing about Kylo and Rey is they're two sides of something. We can relate to Kylo, to that anger of being in turmoil of adolescence and figuring out who he's going to be as a man, dealing with anger and wanting to separate from his family. He's not Vader, at least he's not Vader yet, and that's something I really wanted to get into. Cassavetes brilliantly told a dark and exhilarating adolescence drama in Alpha Dog. What intrigues me about the film is the effective use of foreshadowing to captivate your attention and give you a mystery to put together as the film runs. A very popular theory in the Star Wars community right now is Reylo, a romantic relationship developing between Rey and Kylo Ren. Nick directed arguably the greatest modern love story in The Notebook. What better director to tell a shocking love story between our protagonist and antagonist? Cassavetes' variety and track record of creating successful films lead me to believe he could wrap up the loose ends of the trilogy. As the director of Blow, he effectively used filming techniques of each decade the story took place throughout the film. The film is full of style and would make a slick conclusion to the epic space opera. David Fincher. David Fincher is the master of twist storytelling that could give Episode 9 a twist to rival Empire Strikes Back. Fight Club and Gone Girl both take audiences on an exciting ride that eventually turns upside down, and the audience is totally surprised. This effective and exhilarating style of storytelling would give fans the shocking revelation that made Star Wars a cultural phenomenon in the first place. He has experience directing blockbuster films such as Alien 3, as well as human interest stories such as The Social Network. His films can depict dark themes, such as in Seven, and psychological thrillers, such as The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Fincher was instrumental in the TV series House of Cards, which would be useful for depicting the political changes in the authoritarian First Order regime and the resistance struggle to bring back the Galactic Republic. Fincher likes to map out camera movements with computer-generated imagery, commission intricate sets, and get heavily involved in post-production and reshoot footage after the principal photography is wrapped up. Sometimes it is difficult to determine whether a shot is a human-controlled, motion-controlled, or computer-generated imagery. Close-ups are uncommon in Fincher films, and he tries to move his cameras as little as possible. His style of filming uses crucial elements from past Star Wars films. With his filming style and track record of movies, I think he could be an amazing director for Star Wars Episode 9. These directors are not necessarily frontrunners to take over the job. Rather, they are interesting choices to consider, long shots that I think would be amazing additions to the project. All in all, I, like the rest of you, simply want Episode 9 to be the best film it can be. I was absolutely ecstatic to find out Star Wars was coming back after being sold to Disney. I know many people were disappointed by the directing of the prequels and ultimately want the sequel trilogy to bring back the magic of the original trilogy that captured the hearts and imaginations of generations. This is the first video of my new Star Wars speculation channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoyed the content in this video. If you have ideas of different directors, or like any of the filmmakers I covered, please leave a comment to engage in a conversation.
It's time for the Jedi to end.